Okay, I want to get everything recording. All right, let's get going. All right, welcome everybody. Week 5. Like I was just saying, we're going to go head to toe today, work on everything that we've been doing up to this point, and finish with some foam rolling. So we'll do lots of foam rolling today. Let's get down on our back and we'll get warmed up. Get this set up. All right, so let's start with some shoulder circles. So we'll go on our back right here. Start with that hand out. You're going to keep it touching the ground the whole time. You're going to bring it all the way up. Rotate as you get above the head. So you're just going to rotate your hand in so that you can keep touching until you go all the way to your shoulder. Then you'll work it all the way back. Try to keep those fingertips touching the whole time as you go all the way around as far as you can. Keep this all coming from the shoulder. Try not to rotate your body as you do this. You're going to do 10 of these on each side, so lots of reps. The shoulders going. Do a few more, and then we'll switch. Doesn't matter what shoulder you start with. We're going to do both sides. And as you're doing this, look for those spots where it's sticking, where you're having a hard time getting through that range of motion. Kind of see how the shoulder feels when you get into that tight spot. Is it pulling? Are you feeling it? You feeling tightness through like your lat area? Is it pulling in the shoulder? Let's do one more. I've got a little clicking in my left shoulder. All right, let's switch. Oh, way better than the right. Rotate all the way through again. So we'll do 10 more on this side, then we'll move on. If you want, you could even rotate your head and watch your hand the whole time. Some people like to do that. As long as you don't get dizzy from doing it. Keep those fingers touching the whole time. We're about halfway there. Let's do 4 more. Let's just get that shoulder working through that full range of motion, getting the scapula rotating. You can throw in some cervical rotation if you want, which I'm doing. Let's do 2 more. Last one. Okay, next we'll keep building off of that. We'll do some floor angels. So start with your arms out in that 90-90 position. You're just going to keep everything touching. Slide up as far as you can above your midline. So you're trying to touch way up as high as you can. Then bring it back down and reach. Do 10 of these nice and slow. Just getting the scapulas moving. This one might be a little hard for some of you if that shoulder blade's not doing what it needs to do, not rotating properly, or if you're tight through the pecs. I'm getting a little tightness right in the front of my shoulder with this, which is most likely coming from my pecs. We'll do a few more. Good. Okay, and then let's roll onto our side. Arms out in front right here, bend those knees up. We're gonna work on some thoracic rotation. Starting here, watch that hand rotate back. Do 10 of these on each side, nice and slow. Do 5 more. Make sure you're breathing. Couple more. I think that might be more than 10, but it's okay. Okay, and then you'll just roll to the other side. I'm just gonna flip so everybody can see me. Knees up, arms out, and we'll go back into it. Rotating through. Watch that hand the whole time. Way better on this side. Let's do 4 more. Last one. Okay. Take a deep breath. Roll onto your back nice and slow. Knees bent up like this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to grab one knee at a time. We'll do a single knee to chest. So pulling it up, getting those hips moving. So going through flexion, pulling that up. I even feel a little stretch my glutes on the Peloton last night. I don't know if it's from the seat or if it's from getting a good workout in my glutes. The seat was not very comfortable when I was sitting on it. We'll go back and forth. We're going to do 5-second holds. We'll switch back and forth. We'll do 10 of these on each side. Keep going. And switch. Try to pull up a little farther as your hips will let you. All right, let's do 5 more on each side. Don't just pull up and hold. Try to pull up and get a good stretch for those 5 seconds. Try to get a little farther each time. A few more each side. All right, we'll do 1 more each side, and then we'll move on to some thoracic mobility. Good. Bring those legs down. Let's go into the sitting position. So just push it up. Get in that sitting position. We're going to go arms out in this 90-degree angle right here. So 90 degrees of abduction. What I want you to focus on is shoulder blade movement with this. So we're going to work on low trap activation, which helps to naturally take the activation off of the upper traps, which are those tense muscles. So anytime you're feeling tense, if you're at the desk, if you're sitting in this position, reading a book, those muscles like to kick in and turn on and get really tight, pull on the neck. So this is the go-to for trying to get those to shut off a little bit, working on good posture movements. So 2 ways we can do that. You can either do the prayer pose and rotate out, or we can go elbows up, squeeze those shoulder blades down and back. So you're pulling down and back with your shoulder blades. Your elbows are just kind of guiding towards the back of your hips. But if this is your back, I want you to feel a little pinch right through here, through that lower trap muscle. You'll squeeze and hold for about 5 seconds or so. Or the other option you can do is prayer position, pinkies out, and then it's like you're trying to rotate and touch your elbows back behind you. So try both of those, see which one you like, and we'll do 10 of those with a 5-second hold. I'm gonna mix it up, I'll do a little bit of both. So let's get going with those. Down and back, get those shoulder blades squeezing. Get that pinch, so you should feel that right through here, in the back. Release. We'll do 10. While you're doing this, make sure you're sitting up nice and tall. Working on good posture. Keep going with those. This is that other version. Keeping your elbows down, shoulders down. Shouldn't feel this in the upper traps. You should feel it in the mid back. Should be about halfway done. I'm going to go back to these for a few. Two more. Last one. Good. Finish up with those. Get a good pinch on the last one. And then from there, we're going to go onto our hands and knees. Right here, we're going to sit back onto those heels. And again, I'm going to give you two options. You can pick which one you want to do. You can either do the threading the needle, which is arm underneath your hand here. And you're going to rotate through that thoracic spine, so that upper back as far as you can, and bring it back. You'll do 10, or you can do the hand behind the head, sitting back on the heels, rotating up and out. Get this to where you can see me. A little bit better. Again, I'm going to mix it up. You pick which one you want to do. Let's work on more thoracic rotation. We'll do 10 each way again. So threading the needle or rotating. Let's do a couple more and then we'll switch. Good, then we'll switch. Switching sides, 10 more on this side. I'll work on a little more thread the needle with this one. Let's do a couple more. Okay. Should be at about 10. If not, I'll let you finish those up. Next, we're going to go in this kneeling position. So leg out in front. What I want you to do is go and do a little bit of flexion. So bringing that forward, hand down, open, down, open again. And we'll do 10 of these. This is a variation of the world's greatest stretch. We're working on opening up the hips, rotating through the spine. Good. Let's switch legs. Switch sides. Right there. And down. Rotate and watch your hand the whole time. Kick that leg out in front. Open through the hips. And rotate. Do one more after this. Okay. Then from there, we're going to go into frog stretch. So, make sure you get legs nice and wide, like that right there, so that you're in abduction, hip abduction. And then from there, you're just going to sit back towards those heels, and we'll just do some rocking. Nice and easy. Working on a lot of adductor stretching right now, just because mine have been really tight, pulling on my knees. This is one of my go-tos. I like some dynamic movement. I don't like to just sit and hold the stretch. We're gonna do a lot of reps of this. We're gonna do about 20 reps. Should be at about 8 or 9. We're just rocking back and forth, nice and easy. Should have a few left. Do 3 more. Just rocking back and forth nice and slow. Great. Push back, take a deep breath. And then we're gonna get into some cat-cows next. So kind of going back to that thoracic spine, getting the lumbar spine going a little bit. So we'll go on hands and knees. We're gonna do 2 positions. We're gonna do the scared cat, which is raising up that thoracic spine, creating that arch, into the cow position, which is just letting the shoulders relax, sticking that butt out, creating a more lordosis, so a bigger curvature of your lumbar spine, and then just drop down. Back into the scared cat. As you're doing the scared cat, try to do what's called the posterior pelvic tilt, so you're rolling those hips back. And then anterior pelvic tilt of the hips as we relax into that cow position. Let's go back and forth with those. This is number 3. We're going to do 10. Make sure you're breathing. It's easy to hold your breath with all these. All right, halfway there. Do 5 more. Do 1 more after this. And I got 1 more before we start doing some foam rolling. Relax out of that, shake it off a little bit. Okay. Let me get plenty of space for this. All right, next what we're gonna do, we're gonna finish our movements with some squatting. So we're going to focus on squatting for mobility or squatting for depth. We'll kind of work through a few things with this. I don't want you getting a bunch of pain while you're squatting, but I don't want you to not squat either. I don't want you to be afraid of squatting. So I'm gonna kind of walk through how to do that. You're gonna go feet about shoulder width apart, maybe a little bit wider depending on how tight you are, but I want a little bit of an out flare with your feet. And so what you're gonna do is we're gonna try to drop as low as we can into a squat and push back up. What I see a lot with most people is when they drop into their squat, their upper body comes forward like this, and then they kind of get stuck here. So that is you. What you'll do is you'll put your hands out in front like this. You put your hands out in front, and that keeps your torso upright a little bit more, okay? So you can drop down a little bit lower, your torso is a little more upright, and then when you push back up, you're pushing your feet down and out like you're trying to split the ground in between your feet. And we'll just go up and down nice and slow. Make sure your knees don't cave in as you're going into that squat, so I don't want to see this. I want to see your knees going out towards the outside of your toes as you're dropping down as low as you can. We'll just do 10 of those. Just nice and easy to finish it off. If you feel like you can do this with your torso staying upright the whole time, you don't have to have your arms out. You could have your arms in, you could have your arms down by your side, but it's good to just kind of hold them out for that little cueing. And again, if you're having any knee pain with this, let me know and we can talk about some things you can do at home to help with that. My goal is to make people less afraid of the squat. A lot of people start getting pain in their body and they say, well, looks like I'm never squatting again. We don't want that. Let's do one more. Drive those feet out. Good. Okay, now the fun part, foam rolling. Let's do a little cool off with that. Hopefully those squats felt pretty good for everybody. If not, let me know and we'll talk about it after this. All right, so we'll do a few, we'll hit a bunch of different body parts with this. Let's just start with using the foam roller to stretch out our lats. So we'll go hands in that prayer position. And we're just gonna kind of roll that out until we feel a stretch right through this area here. We'll roll it back. Just kind of lean into that roller as you go. Try to get the stretch through those lats as you roll it in and out. You have to keep the roller towards the end of your hands as you lean into that. You can roll it in and out, or you can just sit and hang out in that position too. We're going to do a couple more after this. Okay, nice and easy. And then let's work on our foam roller on our quads. So the front, top of the leg. We will go into plank position right here on our elbows. We're just going to roll up and down. So working on the top of the quads. If you want, you can angle your leg out, work more of that inner quad, or you can roll it out just a bit and work that outer quad, which for me, that is a little painful. So I'm going to work that spot. Take about 30 seconds or so and just kind of work through our quads up and down. Try to cover that whole muscle. It goes all the way down to the knee, so try to cover as much range as you can. Ooh, my quads are tight. I think the Peloton worked last night. Definitely wasn't the seat. You can even go a little bit into your adductors if you want to, if you really rotate in. Whew. Okay. Let's take a deep breath after that. I need to. And then we'll go into hamstrings. So get those legs over the roller. Hold yourself up with those hands. We'll just roll in and out on those hamstrings. This will be a little less painful. We'll spend about 30 seconds again rolling through here. And again, you can work the middle, the outer, or the inner part of the hamstrings. Just try to find any of those tender spots and mash through those. Okay. One. Get rid of that wallet. Otherwise, I won't be able to get to that glute. So we've used a lacrosse ball on the glutes before. I don't know if we've gone over in this class anyways, if we've gone over foam rolling the glutes. We have, awesome, we're doing it again. If not, let me walk you through it. So what you're gonna do, you're going to find the bony part on the outside of your femur. That is your trochanter of the femur. And so you're gonna find that spot, you're gonna find your PSIS, which is the bony part in the back of the hip. You're gonna draw a straight line from one to the other, and that's the spot that I want you working. So to get to that spot, you're gonna have to lean back, put one hand back, get right above that trochanter area, getting towards the bony part in the back of the hip, roll back into the side on it, and then you can cross your leg over like this, and you will roll right through that area. If it's tender, you're in the right spot. If you're getting some weird nerve symptoms, get off that spot. Don't try to mash through it. Let's take like 45 seconds to a minute. Just work through this whole area. You've got your piriformis here, you've got your glutes. If you go up a little bit higher towards your iliac crest, so the rounding part of your hip, the top of your hip, but we'll work that whole area. Find those tender spots, mash them. And then one other thing you can do that I've talked about before is get on that spot, do some active movement of your hip. So just lift your knee up and down while you're on a good spot. That'll do a little active release for you. Let me go back to rolling, try to find a good spot. There we go. Then what I'm doing right here is just small up and down movements while I'm on that trigger point. Just trying to get it to not be as painful, so let it melt away as I'm pushing through it. All right, let's switch. Hit the other side. So find those 2 points, lean back into the side, cross that leg over, roll into it. There we go. Find those spots, roll through them. Let's spend a minute hitting those spots. And then I'm gonna do a few of those active movements while I'm on that really good spot. About 10, but we should be getting really close to that minute mark. Man, that one's got me shaking. It's a good one. Okay. All right, sit up, take a nice deep breath, relax. You survived another round. Now's the time. If anybody has any questions, feel free to fire away. I know we did a couple new things today, so if anything hurt or if you had any questions, let me know.
Hi, so that was great, thanks. So yeah, the squats, any tips to help mitigate the knee pain?
The knee pain? Yeah. So were you getting knee pain at the bottom? Or the whole thing?
The whole thing.
The whole thing? Okay.
Yeah, it helps when I pigeon toe my feet out. That helps.
Okay.
And I think that squats are probably good for knee pain, even though it hurts a little bit, right?
Yeah, it's kind of one of those it depends answers. So if you have an injury, then you got to kind of work around the squats. It's not about not doing squats, but what's actually going on in the knee. But usually with like an injury to the knee, or if you're having pain with it, there's a few ways that you could still go through the squat and not just say don't squat completely. One of the things that I like to do is check ankle mobility first. So if somebody doesn't have good dorsiflexion of their ankle, it's going to put a lot more pressure on the knees. It's going to put a lot more pressure on the hips. And so what I'll do is I'll prop their heel up on a weight, so like a 10-pound weight. So then it brings them up about that far, and it's pretty cool how far down they can start to go because we're helping them out with that dorsiflexion.
Yeah.
So maybe try that.
Okay.
And also check the width of your feet. If they're too narrow, it'll put a lot more pressure on your knees. So you might widen them just a little bit and try that.
Okay, wider than hip width, right?
Wider than your hips, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's those little modifications. You usually clean it up.
Okay.
If you try those and you're still having pain, maybe send me a video of your squat from the front and from the side, and then I can break it down a little bit more for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
I have a squat problem too, but it's in my thigh, it's right, the hip crease, the thigh crease place.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
What about, do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, you might be getting a little bit of hip impingement.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
So what you would want to do for that is try to, again, widen the stance just a little bit.
Okay.
And try the heel prop too and see if that helps.
Oh, okay. Okay, thanks.
If that doesn't, you might want to check your hip flexors and see how tight those are. They might just be really tight too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right.
And